is this rig as good as they say it is? They banned it after a year of professional tournaments. Guys, we're about to talk about the Alabama rig. I got cool underwater Alabama rig footage. I'm going to go over baits that I throw on the Alabama rig. I'm going to talk about the whole gear setup, where to throw it, and right now is a time to get it back on the rod. And once again, I'm going to share my big mistake I made with the Alabama rig. Guys, welcome to the Fishing Coach YouTube channel. I'm Coach E, go by Jimmy Easterling, and right now, like I just said, I got Alabama rigs out. I got my bag that I take when I go out in the lake. Got a box of Alabama rig stuff. It's almost time, so I'm looking through this thing, it's almost time for me to make some order on swim baits, a couple more rigs to get ready when I'm out there, and also when I'm doing my guide stuff, okay? Share real quick, because this video today is brought to you by Sawco Roofing Company. They're located here in Central Arkansas, and if you're watching and are curious about your roof and if it's prepared for the upcoming winter with the snow and the ice, okay, or if you've had some hail recently, call them today for a free inspection report. They'll come out there and give you a free inspection report. The owner, Buzz Sawyer, is a fisherman. He is a bass fisherman, very, very talented angler, won a few tournaments around here in the recent years. Good man, though, at heart, okay? Thank you, Sawco, for sponsoring today's video. So, guys, let's get into the Alabama rig. There's so many Alabama rigs on the market, and as I'm looking, there's one, yep, I got a few in here, so I was trying to look as this. So I want to talk about Alabama rigs, okay? Guys, if you watched my video last year, I talked about Alabama rigs, and now, of course, after a whole year of fishing, I've gotten more at it, okay? This right here is the Yum Flash Mob, okay? This is the one that is easy to find in stores. It catches fish. I like the Flash Mob, okay? Another one that I like, all right, it's one local here, is the Black's Custom Lures. I'm actually out of the Widowmaker. I need to get me some more. And so I'm going to put that information down there. All my stuff's going to be down there in below if you want to go check it out, okay? But Black's Custom Lures is another one that I've thrown the Widowmaker. This one right here is one that I have two rigged up right now for my guide trips. And when I'll talk about jig heads, because this has different jig heads than this one. This is the Diamond Frenzy rig, okay? Diamond Baits, it's a small local company, I believe out of Alabama, okay? I like it how the heads here are just a little different. Sometimes, like, they don't care and they want it with this for some reason, and like the head shaped like this. The Black's one has a shad shaped head as well. Other times they don't. Like, there's been times they don't want this. I tie this dude on and they eat it. So that's one reason why I have this. Another one here, got the 6 Sense Divine. I know people that love this thing. This is the 8-blade one. I know some people love this. I've not done as good with the 6 Sense ones for some reason. These wires are bigger and they're heavier. Sometimes they like that lighter wire, so when you twitch it and when they're swimming, it gives it more lifelike action. Now, the one that's the sleeper that I really like is the Shane Baits. It's the Dominator, okay? I like this one right here. It has the chrome head. It's an 8-blade, and it's pretty nice because, look, it has the plastic through there, so it keeps these blades, and it also has, of course, the swivel head, so it slides as well. So those are just a couple different Alabama rigs there that I throw and like. These are the high dollar ones, and I try not to throw these as much. I knew I had some in there, but once again, they all catch fish. It's just there's sometimes it might just be someone's preference, or there are days where some reason some work better than the others, though. Sweet. Now, guys, talk about jig heads. I think jig heads is very important. So, like right now, here, I love these jig heads. These are part of those diamond. Now, these are 1/16 ounces. So, one thing about the Alabama rig and your guys that are really, really good with it, guys, they have different type of jig heads and different weights. So, learn how to switch up the weights, switch them up. So these are the 1/16. I like these for situations where I'm fishing higher in the water column, and that 1/16 kind of keeps it up a little bit. Here I have all 1/8 on it right now. These are, I think, some Bass Pro jig heads, and for this situation, what I do is just want to get it down there deeper. And I did this with my video the other day with my underwater footage that we're going to talk about here in a minute. I got this camera right here, guys, and I'm going to go over when I use this camera with this footage. It's pretty cool. This right here, guys, on this camera, and I'm going to get more back into the jig heads. I just kind of went everywhere. It's a Canfish camera, okay? Canfish, what's it called right there? The Cam X, okay? What I did with this, okay, and it's kind of made for some scenarios like I'm about to share, okay? And there's other videos out there you can check out. But what I did was I had it tied to braid. I had a braid line tied onto it, okay? Then I tied a fluoro leader, and I would put swim baits on it, and then these Alabama rigs. And what you're going to see with some of this footage is really, really cool. And I did it in a couple different scenarios with different baits. But right here, I'm going to put this down there in the description too. Something I'm trying out. Like I said, it's kind of made for the lure. There's a couple different ways to rig it. But that's just what I did. And there's an app. Okay, so there's an app. You record on the app. All your footage is there. The app's, you know, pretty easy to use. There are a couple little times where it might make you think and try some stuff. But that's just what I used to get some of this sweet footage that we're going to talk about here. In a minute with the Alabama rig. So on the Jig Heads, as I was just mentioning, okay, on the Jig Heads, look, I have a bunch of Jig Heads, a bunch of different sizes. The Black's Custom Lures, he has his own Jig Heads. They're pretty good and solid. I got, like I said, those diamond right here, diamond umbrella rig. And then the other one I have, I love these 6 cents ones. These 6 cents ones, they're true and tested. They use these dudes at OH Ivy. They've caught fish. Another, I have a local company in here. Where are they at? That I've always liked and shared about. Is that them right there? The M&M Custom Creations. That's the ones I used when I caught my 10-pounder at OH Ivy on the Alabama rig, okay? So a bunch of different jig heads here as well. Like I said, pretty. Those guys that are really good with the Alabama rig, switch up the jig heads. So do not be afraid to switch them up. I mean, I got Alabama rigs everywhere. I'm throwing them back in the boxes. I'm talking to you guys. Okay, now swim baits. Swim baits. Now, what I have on here is the Kitech Easy Shiner. I like these in the fall. I learned that last year. The fish ate them really good in the fall. They eat them in the winter too, but they're a little smaller, okay? They have a good action. And as you see right now, I have it switched up. So I got the Easy Shiners here, then the Fat Swing Impact here without a tail. Yesterday on my forward-facing offshore trip, the last spot I did, it tore that up. Then I picked up my minnow. Then after that, I didn't put this back down because we only had one more spot to fish, and I just didn't want to put another one on. And as you see, I have these 16th ounce jig heads here. Then I have that 6 cents one there in the middle. Another one here, I love these swim baits. It's the Yum Scottsboro. Okay, this is the shad color here, but the Yum Scottsboro, there are times that these Yum Scottsboro come, guys, with the Alabama rig also in the package. So you can get that there as well. But love the Yum Scottsboro. 6 cents Divine. I know some people that just exclusively throw these. I've had luck with these as well. And that's really probably about it, guys, is between the Kitechs and the Yums. And like I said, the 6 cents. That's really it. Now here's this color here, like this one right here for clear water. It's called the Ghost Ice Minnow. Okay, so anyway, guys, so that's the gear and the stuff. Now let's talk about why the Alabama rig, why it's banned. Okay, why it's banned. And if you you know, when it first came out, it made a big hit. I mean, Paul Ice won a tournament in the fall at Guntersville, blew the field out. Then the next year, a lot of people were throwing it. It made a big scene even in MLF in one of their tournaments, the Every Fish format back in the day of the good old days of MLF, right? When it was the good old days. Timmy Horton smashed him at Lake Amistad with it. But why is it illegal? Okay, people say it's because of 5 hooks and 5 swim baits, and that's an easy answer. But with that, what it does, it draws fish. It attracts fish. It is a very, very good bait for the winter. And yes, of course, 5 baits is better than 1. And I'm glad that it is, and those pros are glad that it is banned from the big tournaments, is because you don't got to have it on the deck. Because if it's not banned, you better have it on the deck. Maybe 2 or 3. At times in the winter, I'll have the different jig heads, swim baits. I mean, this thing just catches fish, and it attracts them. That's what we've learned with Live Scope. The mistake I made, okay, guys, the mistake I made with the with this guy is when they banned it from tournaments, I quit throwing it. I had one good year with it. I'm telling you, Lake de Grey, it was a blast. I mean, and people around here talk, it caught fish, and fish people at Hamilton are going up and down the bank just catching 5-pounders, you know. And then the fish did get used to it. We learned the fish got used to it, and there's still times and a place for it, you know. They'll go up there, swim, and look at it. But then when that forward-facing sonar came out, I remember the guy, one of my buddies, like, hey, you need to go tie an Alabama rig on and go throw it around. And all of a sudden, I saw how it attracted fish out of nowhere. And it just, you know, all of a sudden, 10 would come out of a brush pile, and wham, you catch one. So it's a very, very, of course, dangerous bait, all right? It is a dangerous bait. So where to throw the Alabama rig? Depends on your lake, but you can throw it anywhere. You can throw it shallow on rocky points. You can, of course, throw it off the end of the points in the deep water. You can fish around brush piles. You can fish it above brush piles. Other day when I did a trip, or I did an event with the Valonia High School fishing team here in Arkansas, they had me come down. Once I got in a boat, and they weren't eating real well, and all of a sudden we started throwing this, and they wanted it. I had a double right off the bat, and one of the kids in the boat had the double. Then, after I saw how they were setting up, I even got in some boats without live scope, and we were spot locking and throwing it around brush piles and catching them. But once, so you can throw it around brush piles, that's the type of deal. And of course, with forward facing, it helps seeing it above trees. People fished them above trees. I remember initially at Lake DeGray fishing them in like big flats where the creeks are, like the back of creeks, throwing them down there and just dragging it on the bottom or trying to keep it right above off the bottom. You can fish it around docks. It is very, very good around docks in the pre-spawn period or the winter period, depending on that dock, that magical dock, if you find it. So you can throw it anywhere. You can really throw it anywhere you want. The type of swim baits, though, I know I have shad ones. If you're fishing a more stingier lake, you might need the white color. I have shads on right now. I think the blades are important. I really like an 8-blade one. I think the flash and all that matters for them seeing it. And sometimes the flash kind of, I think, disguises the wires and kind of everything on it to where it goes. Now, one thing we need to talk about, I didn't talk earlier, I should probably talk about this earlier. I like to throw it on a big, longer rod. Some people throw it on 7.4 to 7.6 rod. I've thrown it on 7.6 rod. This is a 7.8 heavy fast, level NGX. I've thrown them on 7.10s. This right here, I'm throwing it on this one. I've already had doubles with it. I like a big, heavy rod. So when you do, I like a longer rod so I can get a longer cast. But then, what I like about it is if you do get 2 or 3 on, you're going to get them in the boat. I always use fluorocarbon. I remember starting off with braid due to not having live scope, back in the day with no live scope. And this is an expensive rig setup. And I wanted the braid to where if I lost it, I didn't want it to hurt me because I was, poor. I was, I had a little less money. I didn't want to spend it all, and then I still don't want to spend all the money. Crap. I get it. So, but I like fluorocarbon in the clear water. I think it matters. Sometimes with braid too, you'll straighten out your hooks. You get some big fish on that braid, kind of gets going, and it straightens them hooks out on those fish that are really, really, really fighting. So I like the fluorocarbon, and once again, the long rod's key because you want to make a long cast, want to be able to cover more water with it. And then it helps with the hook set as well. The bite on this is ferocious. It's a fun bite. They hammer it and they hammer it, okay? And so let me know, guys, what you think about the Alabama rig. Appreciate you watching today's video. Leave me some comments down below. And now we're going to get into the Faith Juice segment. Guys, welcome back to the Faith Juice segment. Today, I'm going to talk about Revelation. I haven't talked about Revelation yet on Faith Juice, and it's part of Revelation I say understand. If you have studied Revelation or have been through it, there's a lot going on in it, okay? A lot going on. And not many people preach on it or talk about it. I've done a few studies with a couple churches I've been a part of, been thankful, and I've read it a few times. I remember one of the times I read it, I was on an airplane. And I don't like airplanes. I'm good now, but at this time in my life, I did not like airplanes, and I was so scared to death. I was a senior in high school. I was so scared to death of riding this airplane, I read it because I just wanted. And one thing I'm going to share from it is Revelation 20. I think it's about 11, verse 11. It starts talking about the dead getting judged. And there were books opened, it said. One of the books was the book of life. And if your name was not in the book of life, you were thrown into the lake of fire. So today, I'm bringing that up because as I say that, it kind of gives me goosebumps that this is something that's going to happen, as in, are you in the book of life or not? And so that's one question I want to ask is, think about that, okay? Am I in the book of life or am I not in the book of life? And then how do I get into the book of life? What can I do, okay? Have any questions there? Send me a message down below. It's pretty, like I said, after about Revelation 19:20, guys, it's kind of more easier to understand, even though there's stuff like this. But, it's pretty interesting. It's an interesting book. It's something you don't hear much people talk about, and I love hearing preachers preach about it because they need to be preaching and telling us and getting us prepared for like events like this, getting judged, and hey, are you in this book or not? Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.